Rev up your engines. Okay, today, a used Ram truck. Too Hemi or not too Hemi? That is the question. Now, the guy bought this used about a year ago, and he is an engineer for NASA, so he's no dummy. Well, why did he buy this Ram? Well, his grandfather had an old 90s Ram 4x4, and he loved it, so he thought he was going to try Ram. And he got this used. He's left it completely stock, and he hasn't had to repair anything on it yet. Mind you, it's only got 40,000 miles on it. Let's hope you make them wrong with it, right? But as far as he's concerned, he's happy with it. He pulls a trailer sometimes with it. Now, he knows that they're gas hogs. He's an engineer, he's not stupid. So, he generally gets about 15 miles a gallon in this thing. And that's when you're gonna get with one of these big Hemi engines. Now, this is a 2017, so it's made in the US. It's got VIN number 1, which is a good thing. But unfortunately, the battery that came with was made in Mexico. And that was a rolling pile of crap, which he knows. He tested it. Even the guys at the dealer told him those are garbage. So he replaced it with an American battery instead of the cheaply made Mexican one. But the truck itself was made in the United States. Chrysler's moved a lot of their stuff south of the border. This was made in the United States. And if you are looking for one of these, you really want one that was made here in the United States. They have a lot less problems. You can see here, it's a big 5.7 liter Hemi engine. The gas hogs, they got a lot of power, and as long as you remember one thing they can last. One, you want to change your oil and filter every 5,000 miles with full synthetic oil and a good filter, and you do not want to idle this thing for long periods of time, because they made the cam too high above the crank, and when they idle, it doesn't lubricate the camshafts all that well. They're perfectly fine otherwise. Drive them all you want. Drive them all over the place. But don't sit there idling, because it will wear the cam. Then you got to rebuild the engine, and it costs a small fortune. I've got customers that don't idle them. They understand. They got 150, 180,000. The engines are still purring along perfectly fine. But you can't sit there waiting at a train going by with the AC running, idling. These engines aren't made for that. If you don't idle them, generally, they go perfectly fine. The faster they go, the better they work. Once you get going faster, the oil splashes all over the place, and the cam gets lubricated. The problem is, the cam was made too high, so just idling, it doesn't splash the oil up from the crankshaft to the camshaft to lubricate it. That's just something you have to realize if you're going to buy one of these. Don't think you're going to buy it and sit like the cops at a donut shop with the engine idling, or you will wear it out faster. Now, he got a 4x4, but this particular one has that air ride suspension on it. He's not a guy who's going to go rock crawling and off-roading. He likes the ride. And he says on the highway, which he does a lot of highway driving, the ride is indeed better because of that air ride system. Now, of course, when the air ride system breaks, you start throwing thousands of dollars all over the place to fix it, but it hasn't broken yet, and he really likes the ride on it. We'll check it out when we take it for a spin. Check it out, he's got the biggest key holder I've ever seen. Look at the size of this thing. You look inside, they're nice seats. They're very comfortable. They got the Rebel emblem in them. In the back seat has plenty of room, a little bit less than a loaded F-150, but there's still tons of room inside here. The dual Ram boxes, which is cool. One on the left side and one on the right side. They come in handy. Of course, you can lock them. He unlocked them for a trip. See what she sounds like? Sounds like a Hemi. He kept it stock. It's not loud. We'll turn the music off. And of course, everything's electronic, including the shifting, including going into the four-wheel drive. You can have four-wheel drive locked. You can have two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive low, four-wheel drive high. Nicely set up. This little Rebel, red and black and silver. It really looks nice. And a pickup truck with a sunroof. It's nicely set up. You got your water temperature, tach. You got your battery charging. You got your oil pressure. It's nicely set up. And it's both digital and an analog setup. Got our all tail out here. We'll do diagnostics. And it's starting to read stuff. Here we go. It's read the VIN. 2017 Ram, there's the VIN number. And while it's reading all the stuff, it's got all these cool little tunnel here. You can fit all kinds of stuff in. Drinks, charging your phone, whatever you want. And he's got his University of Texas hat because that's where he got his engineering degree. I gotta say, it's a nice, comfy truck inside. As you can see, it's a typical Dodge Chrysler product. It's got a bunch of codes. A bunch of them probably aren't going to mean much of anything, but the BCM has a code, and we'll see what that says. Humidity sensor module. Sometimes the technology goes a little bit too far. Humidity sensor, well, he says the AC works fine, so, hey, believe it or not, I had one of those on a dryer at my house in Houston. And you know what I did? I just cut the stupid thing out and I rewired it so it didn't have that sensor module anymore because it kept turning the stupid light on. The dryer worked fine. It dried the clothes. That's all I cared about. We'll erase the stupid thing. See if it comes back later. A fault for the electronic power steering. We'll see what that is. ECU reset recovery occurred. Now, what kind of a code is that? Well, it could have been maybe the computer was even replaced before he bought it and they didn't reset it. So we'll reset the stupid thing and see if it comes back after the road test. Erase codes. 3 codes for the passenger door module. Oh, that should prove interesting. We'll see what those are. Read codes. Battery voltage input. Circuit voltage below threshold. System voltage below range. Mirror approach light control circuit open. Well, we're going to erase those too. But realize, as he told me, he had one of those crappy Mexican batteries and he replaced the battery. The Mexican battery, it had low voltage. It's going to trip a lot of these codes, and unless you reset the codes, the computer remembers everything. It's like an elephant, right? We're shocking the system here so the elephant won't remember that. We'll see what happens after we road test it. And the last one is 5 codes for the driver's door module. That'll probably be more voltage codes. Let's check it out. Voltage, blah, blah, blah. So we'll erase those too. What we're going to do now is we're going to start her up. And we're going to look at the engine live data, ECM. Black is good, red is bad, and we will start going through all this craziness here. Barometric pressure, you can see what the weather is outside. Throttle system, all that looks good. The injector pulse widths are all good. And you can see they're switching low-high like they're supposed to on the oxygen sensors. Gives you all kinds of information. Look at all this oxygen sensor information. He'd appreciate that because he's an engineer. Trim adaptation's pretty good. It goes between 0 and 1 and -2, that's what you expect. Even gives you the engine oil temperature. Not just the pressure, but the temperature. Oh, the cam data. Look on, there's tons more data. Got the system for the 4-wheel drive system, all that data. Enough data to make your head spin. Nothing wrong, so let's take it for a road test. Check out the air ride system, but you can also adjust it too. We're gonna let it adjust itself. And it's got this setup for towing too. It's quite an interesting system when it's working. Just pray it doesn't break. Got a pretty straightforward backup camera, nice resolution, even though we're going right into the sun. So here we go to our little drag strip. We're looking backwards in the side mirror, make sure no one's gonna rear end us, because I'm not the only one that drives like a lunatic on this road. And here we go. Now it didn't squeal much, but that's because it's got traction control and it's turned on. But even though it's only the stock exhaust, it's got a nice sound, and of course, tons of horsepower for taking off. And let's say you want to pass somebody here, we're going a little under 50, you floor it, and you start passing people. There's no problems with it whatsoever, as long as you got money for gas. Tires do have 39,000 miles on them, and you can hear them starting to hum quite a bit. It's almost time for new tires, and he can decide if he wants aggressive ones for off-roading. He does an awful lot of highway driving. I'm guessing he's going to go for a quieter highway ride tire. I would. So what do I think of this Ram? Well, I'm pleasantly surprised. He was no fool. One of the main reasons he bought this is because the VIN is number 1, meaning it was made in the USA. He wanted one made in the USA, and I agree entirely. There's no way I would buy one of these things that was made in Mexico. They just don't have the quality. This one, you can see the quality still held up. There's absolutely nothing wrong other than squirrely little codes that were there because you changed the battery and it had low voltage. When you get low voltage, the computer gets confused. It starts tripping all kinds of wanky codes, and some of them, who knows? It might have been an fender bender, hit the door module, and the guy never reset it. Everything works, but if they don't reset it, the codes are going to stay there forever until somebody resets them. So really, hey, beautiful looking truck. He saved a ton of money buying it used instead of buying a new one. He does pull a lot of weight, and that's what you want this big Hemi V8 for. You're going to pull a lot of weight. Don't get yourself a little turbo 4. You're not going to be happy. The engine's not going to be happy. The transmission's not going to be happy. Hey, this thing still runs like it's off the showroom floor, and he saved himself not only a lot of time, but as far as I'm concerned, he's got a better truck than the ones that they're building today. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.